What's going on, guys? Your favorite mortgage lender, Abel Kwame, Got Mortgages. I am here with my good friend, Dan the Bugman, for another episode on our podcast. And what's up, dude?
Not much, man. Living the dream. Happy to be aboard, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, I'm going to get right into it because I was definitely so excited for you to jump on, really, when you first booked it, because we've gotten to know each other, I would say, for the past year or so now. And I feel like we probably see each other more than anything, more than our own kids. Probably. So tell people a little bit about who you are and what kind of got you to where you're at today.
Yeah, so cheesily, people know me as Dan the Bugman. I tell everybody, yes, I know it's cheesy, but if you see unwanted pests in your house, friends and family not included, I hope you think of me. So I'm gonna try to keep everything cheesy. As a dad, I bring the dad jokes, just out here having fun. But yeah, owner of Dan Can Home Services, where pest control is that's the passion, that's the bread and butter. But I also market myself as kind of a Dan of all trades, doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But as you know from our other mutual friends, whenever Dan can't do something, we have a really great, strong network. So I still like the home services thing because I like being a one-stop shop for people. Even if I can't do it, I can give them someone who can. So
I love it. So what kind of got you inspired to start your own pest control business?
So kind of just working for the big guys. There's basically like three companies that own like 95% of every pest control company in the world. It's a crazy monopoly that there is. And after working for two of the three, kind of seeing how, everyone was just, a means to an end, a number on a spreadsheet, a quota goal for a sales rep. I didn't really feel like as a family man that they were necessarily taking care of other people's families. There was always a hidden agenda. There was always tactics, tips, and tricks that were being used to upsell and sell things that people didn't need. And, of course, it's the nature of business to, make money and, grow the business. But I also like going home with a clean conscience, knowing that I didn't take advantage of anyone and, just doing it my own way now. I'm trying to do things differently, trying to treat people like I would want to be treated, essentially.
I love that. And I could personally attest to that because obviously you and I are not only just business referral partners, but you also do my personal stuff. And you've been so consistent with it too. Where it's funny when we first met for you to start doing stuff, I think it was at Sweetwater's and Tom's River at one of the chamber events I think you guys were doing. And then you're like, dude, why don't you join the chamber too? And I know you're a huge advocate for networking and all that stuff. So tell me a little bit about how that really plays such a huge role in your business.
Yeah, I mean, so without networking, I probably wouldn't have been nearly as successful in my first year. It was actually my previous employer, much to their dismay at this point, they were the ones that told me, like, hey, you should get involved in the local Chamber of Commerce. Our office is here in Toms River. The Toms River Chamber of Commerce is a really great avenue. We've heard good things about it. Go join. And a year after joining, I was like, you know what? I have a really strong network going on here. Everybody knows me. I feel like everyone likes me. And that's always the biggest hurdle with any sale is, finding somebody that you like and you trust. But yeah, I mean, just last year alone, I did definitely probably more than 120 networking events. I don't know the exact number, but I just kind of like perused my calendar one day and, kind of added them all up roughly. But networking has been crucial for me because it gets me more and more involved in the community, gets me introduced to people like you, other small business owners, homeowners. And it's really helped me not only grow the business, but become a real member of the community itself, which is so awesome and something I never really thought to do. But it's been incredibly rewarding, kind of, obviously the goal in any business is to grow your business, but also grow the community. Because if you can grow the community, the business comes automatically. So it's been interesting. Now I'm advocating for the chamber and any networking group that I find there to be value in. And I'm always talking to other small business owners like, hey, you ever tried networking? Have you ever tried a chamber? Come be my guest. And now I'm kind of teaching people how to network. I actually have a chamber event coming up, I want to say in like 3 months or so, where the Toms River Chamber is doing something called Lunch and Learn, or Lunch Link and Learn, something like that. But they asked me to speak there. Like 50 to 70 some odd people, but I'm going to be teaching people how to chamber, how to network, which is crazy to me because I still feel like I'm figuring it all out.
Yeah, that's awesome. And listen, I every single time somebody has either dropped your name or referred your business, it's always been in a positive term. So kudos to you because that's obviously hard to do and stay consistent with. Most importantly, now switching to pest control, how would you say pest problems affects the value of a home for a consumer?
You broke up a little bit. How do I say what affects the value of a home?
How would you say pest problems affect the value of a home?
Okay. So, all depending on the pest, there can be a lot of different what ifs. And that's kind of my goal is to protect people from the what ifs that they would never even think of. So we'll talk about a couple different avenues. So, termites, carpenter ants, wood destroying beetles, wood destroying pests in general. That is one thing that is never covered by any homeowner's insurance, to my knowledge, anywhere in the country. Maybe some premium packages, who knows? But in globally, there's about $5 billion worth of damage caused every year from just termites. As homeowners, you're investing in the biggest investment of your life and your family's life, essentially. So why not protect it with some kind of, pest control, peace of mind prevention, making sure that nothing is eating your home because termites and wood destroying pests, it's one of those things that you never really know that you have until you found out that you have them. And then you're dealing with contractors and having to rip down walls essentially and, take out mortgages of people like you to, get the home repaired.
Sure.
It's a big what if, but even like seasonal pests. When I'm going around a home, I'm not just necessarily looking for pests, but I'm looking for things that are conducive to attract them that could not only attract pests, could also leave the structural integrity of the home, in dismay. I feel like that's the word of the day. I've used that twice now. But for instance, one of the big things that I see around people's homes is, not necessarily proper drainage from their gutters. And not only is pulled up water going to attract pests, bring a breeding zone for pests, but it's also going to eventually lead to mold, mildew, cracked foundations,
Yep.
whole bunch of different things. And I think that's one of the things that kind of differs from me compared to a lot of other pest control guys where I don't have a time limit on my services. I give people a 2-hour window and I get there in that window. I do the job to the best of my abilities, like I would my own house. And I'm looking for a little bit of everything. Even if it's not pest control related, I'm letting them know. Just yesterday, yeah, I was doing an inspection for a realtor in a brand new house. The house was less than a year old. A new homeowner just came in, and they just had an inspection done last month before they moved in. I'm in the crawl space, brand new foundation, but the foundation is covered in cracks. I don't know how it happened, whether it was the weather or whatever, but those cracks can eventually lead to termites coming in. But also more so concerning, the homeowners, they're never going to go in the crawl space. I'm down there. I see something. I say something. So I try to be a partner with my clients, with my friends at the end of the day to tell them everything that I say, things that they wouldn't see otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I can even say that myself because every time you send me a picture and you're like, "Hey, turn this bucket over," or or
Well,
put this away, and I'm like, "Oh, damn it." Um, so how would you say pest control though has changed over the years?
so I've only been doing pest control now for 6 years. I still consider myself to be a rookie. I definitely know a lot, but it is a field that is always evolving. And there's always a need to learn more and more, especially as climate change, new invasive species are coming into the country that we've never had experience with. There's a list that everybody knows of: the spotted lanternfly, the brown marmorated stink bug, the Asian lady beetle. There's lists and lists of invasive species that are constantly being introduced to our area almost every year. And because the natural habitat isn't used to seeing these invasive species, we as professionals aren't used to it. We're trying to figure out, okay, how can we combat this without harming all the other beneficial pests? So there's always a need to learn. Back in the day, even still kind of in certain some areas, A lot of pest control people are referred to as spray jockeys, where they go out and they spray and they pray, essentially. Um, Years ago, there was not as much common knowledge, or I guess maybe research going into the possible side effects of the harsh chemicals that were being used at the time. Before my time, but there used to be a chemical called DDT, and it would wipe out anything and everything. It almost completely took out the bed bug problems for a while, where bed bugs were almost extinct. I mean, that's an exaggeration, but they weren't around anymore as much. But then come to find out, DDT was being used for so long, people were getting cancer from it. It was really harsh, bad for the environment. And even nowadays, local legislation, state regulatory agencies, they're constantly doing more and more research to protect all the beneficial pests, and they're constantly helping professionals like myself to have the knowledge to make sure we're not harming the environment, but still providing a good service for the people that are entrusting us to protect them. So I feel like there's been a huge knowledge shift, at least since I've been in the industry.
That's awesome. Now, so you mentioned obviously helping homeowners potentially from moving in and things along that nature. What would you say are truly like the biggest red flags that buyers should be looking for when purchasing a home?
Moisture. Moisture not only for mold, mildew, structural integrity, but moisture can be a very huge attractant to termites. Termites need high levels of moisture and humidity. A lot of people I find don't ever look in their crawl space. And I know we both know a couple home inspectors, and the ones that we know collectively, I trust. But I go behind a lot of home inspectors that maybe they did the WDIR, the wood destroying insect report, and I open up that crawl space door and I just see a wall of webs. I'm like, all right, obviously nobody's been in there, been in here in a while. So did you do the full on inspection?
Sure.
I feel like it is so incredibly important for any homeowner to kind of know their home also. Obviously a lot of people don't want to go in the crawl space, but just poke your head down there every now and then with your flashlight, see if you got fallen insulation, see if you got water collecting, things like that. Just because, that's all going to bring stuff to the house that, you can eventually, potentially avoid with just, a couple minutes here and there.
Yeah.
So,
And I know you and I have had situations together in the past where pest control actually impacts a potential mortgage closing too, right?
yep, yep,
Especially a VA loan, right? Because
yep,
VA loans are required, and that is something that you're able to do, correct?
absolutely. Yeah. So, I definitely with the VA loans, which was, interesting coming from a very short time in my real estate background when I had my realtor's license before getting my pest licenses. I always knew that it had to be free of termites, but until working with you, I didn't know that it had to be a completely clean bill of health, which honestly is kind of difficult because there's so many different things that can be on that report. You have one single carpenter bead drill hole on a deck. Now it's on the report and it has to be reported. So, I think that's another reason why pest control is so crucial, because, if you are in that situation where you're looking to sell your home, you can have those repairs made before the WDIR is ever needed. You can be on top of all that stuff to make sure that things aren't eating your home without your knowledge. And, again, another thing that I realized going to that house, so it was a new construction house, but I made a video where obviously the construction teams, they know how to build the house. I don't know how to build the house. I know how to kill the bugs. So they're not necessarily thinking about pest control. This brand new house, while I had cracks in the foundation, also the crawl space vents had gaps around the vents that were big enough to allow mice in. The one vent was completely loose, where I was just able to like tap it, and it was kind of buckling. So if a raccoon had interest, it could just push its way in. So I think that's another reason why having a professional who knows what to look for and knows what they're doing, at least just come out on a quarterly inspection is important for a lot of reasons.
You just led me to my next question, which was, so not only do you assist homeowners during their purchase for prevention, but you're also doing it where you've got a service that does it like on a subscription service model, right?
Yep.
Can you kind of comment a little bit on that?
Yeah. So everybody has a different need set, basically. So most homeowners, they are looking for a yearly peace of mind. So I'm going out there every 3 months to protect them from all the seasonal what ifs. And then during that time, I'm going around and I'm inspecting the entire home for potential pests. A lot of times, once I've worked with a customer for, say, a few quarters, I'm going there and I'm not seeing anything, which is good. That means I'm doing my job. It's funny because from the consumer point of view, like, well, why am I paying for anything? You're not seeing anything. Well, you're not seeing anything because I'm doing something about it. So, um, but yeah, I mean, I think it's that. I think that is important because some people will only get like those yearly inspections, which is cool. Everybody has different budgetary, concerns or different needs. Some people want to do it themselves, which I am a big advocate for. I tell people all the time, like, look, this is a service of convenience as much as a peace of mind. If you want to try it, here's some information. Give it a try. If it doesn't work, let me know. Um, but yeah, so going out on quarterly inspections, I'm able to see all those what ifs and stop those what ifs before they happen. Like one of the biggest things, especially upcoming this season, is people will be calling in for flying ants. To the average consumer, it might look like a flying ant, but it might be a termite also. They look almost identical unless you know exactly what the difference is looking at it up close. So I'm really just there for, again, it's a service of convenience, but it's more so a service of peace of mind. So,
That's awesome.
and for, yeah. So residential
Listen,
customers going out every 3 months. If I'm doing mosquito tick, I'm going out every month, which and then commercial clients, it could be monthly, it could be bi-weekly, it could be weekly. Everyone has a different need, basically.
I love that, and I'm sure you see so many different sides to the residential and then the commercial, right?
Yep.
We're just a completely different animal.
Yep.
Um, so final question, I would say, and little elevator pitch. What sets you would say Dan Can Home Services different than other companies? Because I know you're obviously rattling some cages, right? Which I love. You posted the thing the other day, and I had commented because trust me, I deal with them all the time. But what would you say truly sets your company individually apart from others in the industry?
I think it's just the care. As simplistic as that is, and I know I'm far from the only one to ever say that, but it's true. When I worked for a big corporate starting out as a technician, I would get my route, and my route would be, say, 15 to 20 customers in a day. And I was expected to do all that in 8 hours. I didn't want to pay overtime. So getting 15 to 20 stops in a day, you have to be quick. And
Yeah,
you are timed on those stops. So like your house, for instance, I do your service, right? If I was still working for them, they might have given me 20 minutes to do the inspection, to say, hi, how you doing, do the service, fill you in on what I did, and then get to my next stop. That's not happening. There's a lot of times that I might spend 20 minutes just informing you on what I saw and what we can do to like fix things or deter things. So I don't have time limits. I don't answer to anybody but my family, you, the customer, my friends in the community. If I'm rushing like I used to be, I'm doing a disservice, and that's the last thing I want to do. When I first started this, I touted pride over profits, and I say that to everybody. I didn't start this to get rich. I started this to take care of my family and do what I love and just do something different. If I do ever get rich, I won't complain. Cool. But that's not the end goal. And my customers, they are not a means to an end. So I think
I
that's
love
the
that.
biggest.
That's awesome, man. And listen, you've obviously gone on your own now for I think this is now your second year, right?
Yep.
Um, that's awesome. And I think within your first year, you already got top two in Ocean County, I believe it
Yep.
was.
Yep. Only got beat up by,
Um,
which I don't count.
that's huge, man. Well, listen, kudos to you. I appreciate you, your partnership, and everything that you bring to the table. Any parting words?
No, man, this is fun. I'm happy to see that you're getting into the podcast game as well. So yeah, I mean, this is great. If you ever have some open spots, a couple months down the line, love to come back, and appreciate you again, brother. Thanks for having me
Yeah,
on.
man, absolutely. I started doing this like 2 years ago, 2023. And I would do a lot of them along with home buying seminars. And then you got just so goddamn busy, right?
Yep.
So and then obviously we started our roundtable, right? So I kind of got pulled into that for the last year while I was building that. And then now I'm like, you know what, let me start bringing back these podcasts and then, you know, start throwing them up on YouTube. I think you'll probably be episode 93 or 94.
It's awesome.
You know, and we're just adding it with the market updates and, you know, giving added spotlights to everybody, you know, making my network your network. So
Yeah,
appreciate
it's
your
awesome.
time, my friend. Thank you very much. And I'll catch you next time.
All right, brother. Thanks. Have a good one.
You got it.